What helps Josh in his leadership is how personable he is. I'll say this. I was drafted in the 5th round. Josh was the first person to speak to me at the organization. I remember I got there, I don't remember, maybe like 2nd day or something like that, and I went in like the sauna, and like, he's sitting there talking to somebody, and he's like, hey man, you're, Sedrick, right? I'm like, yeah, yes sir, no, I'm not sir, I'm just Josh, man, pleasure to meet you. Like, you know who I am, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but he was the first guy to be like, man, welcome to the organization, welcome to Buffalo.
Welcome. This is Jeremiah Gree, a.k.a. G Sportz, my guy.
Jacob Verdin.
And we got with us today
Sedrick Van Pran-Granger.
Let's get it.
We always try to figure out what we're going to call the name of our podcast, depending on who we're interviewing. And I think this is the perfect setting to call this Inside the Trenches with Sedrick Van Pran-Granger. I like it. Being back at Warren Easton, where it all started, where you started your journey. And, appreciate you taking the time, said to fellowship with us, man, and kind of go through your path and your journey and everything you done been through. We know how busy this time of the year is, preparing for training camp and getting ready for the NFL season to start. So, I don't take that for granted, bro. But we always like to start our podcast off, bro, talking about your journey, man. Take us back, Sid, when you first fell in love with the game of football and how football has got you where you at today. Not only as an athlete, but as a person.
Well, I'm gonna answer what you said first. Well, I just want to say thank you to y'all, man. Y'all got your own platform. Y'all got a lot of people y'all can have on here, so it's an honor to be on y'all platform, man. I appreciate that. But to answer your question, man, truth be told, I think I fell in love with the game here. I think in the neighborhood, you love football for the purest form of the game, just playing tackle football on the street, just kind of like doing whatever. But then, like, I really didn't start playing organized team football until I was maybe 12, something like that.
You got a late start.
Yeah, I really didn't start playing like maybe 11, 12, somewhere in there. But when I got here, it's kind of like when I really learned like discipline, sacrifice, and kind of putting your team truly above yourself. So I would say that's when I kind of fell in love with the sport of like team wise of football. But I would say the love for the game, man, I think I always kind of had that, just being in the street, being out, being out on Turo Street, playing tackle football late night all day in the summer. That's just kind of what you do.
I heard you played a little quarterback in your flag football days. How true is that?
That's true. We won I want to say 2 championships when I was there. One of them was an undefeated season. So
you was a precision pass, or you was slinging that thing?
A little bit of both. So I was bigger, so I was able to have a little more power. But
Gotcha.
Everybody was scared to, pull a flag or whatever, because I was big, so I could run, I could throw deep. It was whatever. It's funny you mentioned that, because I remember we had a stint in the playoffs where I had it wasn't pulled, but like a strained muscle in my back. And like I had to like tough it out, and I was like, Coach, I got the team, and the whole nine. But it's just fun, man, to kind of revisit some of those moments. But that's kind of where it started.
What park you played for?
Eastern Park.
Eastern Park?
Yeah, right there.
Okay. So you ain't play for like Goretti, Harrell?
Nah.
Okay, gotcha.
I lost to Pontchartrain. I remember we lost to Pontchartrain 6-0. And then one year we lost to Cutoff in the playoffs.
Gotcha. Okay.
Talk about making the switch from quarterback to offensive line. Obviously, size got a lot to do with it. But do you think you were able to keep some things with you from being under center to now damn near the center?
I mean, yeah, but I hated it at first, bro. Like, it was like in my mind. So like my favorite player growing up was Cam Newton. That was my dog.
Gotcha.
It was always weird though when they played the Saints. It was kind of like I just kind of stay out of it. But that was like my dog. So for me, like, it was weird because I had these dreams of wanting to be like him, because he was a bigger guy and he did all of these things. And then you have these people that's telling you, nah, this is where you belong. Now, grand scheme of things, they were right. But in that moment, it was kind of hard for me to grasp that. But to answer your question, I definitely think having those days of being able to see different safety rotations, just being able to understand very basic concepts of coverage. I think that helps you to kind of elevate and learn the game, especially like when you're in high school where you're trying to still figure out schemes, especially trying to figure out like somebody like a car scheme and stuff like that, where they're running a lot of those saw type deals. But I definitely think that helps, to have that background as quarterback.
I know one thing that I've always admired about you as a young man and as an athlete, bro. Your leadership qualities, the way you carry yourself, the way you articulate yourself, coming up, especially in this generation, that's like a lost art with kids. Always a man or both, look a man in the eye, firm handshake. You present all those qualities. Talk about where that comes from and why is it important for you as a young black man in this generation to be able to, articulate yourself, command the room, and be presentable the way you've been?
For sure. I got to give that to, my parents, man. So it's funny. So I start off with my mom. My mom really didn't care anything about football, like at all. Like I think maybe my mom has been in maybe 2 or 3 games my whole life. And her biggest thing was like, hey, education, kind of make sure that you are presenting yourself a certain way. Like this may not be the most I guess the best thing to say PR wise, but mom would always kind of say like, you don't want people to look at you like you're stupid. Like you don't want people to like look at you and be like, oh, like he's dumb. Yeah, he's dumb. So my mom didn't want that for me. And then like, coming to like my dad was the discipline. My dad was the integrity. If you're going to do something, make sure that you always do it the right way. Don't have half behind it or, whatever. So my dad was always kind of the person to be like, man, if you're going to do something, be 100% in, have integrity, have morals, give people respect. My mom was more so make sure you're carrying yourself well, have manners, that type of thing.
No doubt.
Whenever you walk back in here, you were like, man, this, reminds you of being over here. Just talk about, having a camp, being able to inspire other people in this area, and just what it means to you to be able to give back now.
Man, it's a blessing. So my dad he's behind us, but my dad was there at the camp, and my dad grew up in this area, so it was kind of full circle to, be back around his stomping grounds. I mean, I grew up not too far away, grew up in the 7th Ward for the majority of my life. I'm not gonna lie, I lived everywhere in the city, East, 7th Ward, 9th Ward, Chelmet, like everywhere. So, but I spent a lot of my time like in 7th Ward, so it's not too far from here. So to be able to give back to those kids, to be able to just be a light, man. I think for me, as much as I'm putting into them, they're putting into me. Because it's, in my opinion, it kind of feels good to go somewhere and these kids don't know who you are. They don't really care who you are.
True story.
They just know that somebody's willing to take the time out of their day to do something for them and just spend time with them. So for me, that means a lot. The pure fact that they were out there, they gave energy and effort. So for me, it's just a blessing to be a part of this, and I praise God for it.
So, we at Warren Easton right now, and like you talked about, this is where you fell in love with the game of football. I think when you got here your 9th grade year, that was a pivot in the football program's history in a sense. I know I'm having a brain fart. The head coach before Coach Jerry, Tony Hall.
Coach Hall.
Tony Hall really spearheaded this thing and got this thing going in the right direction. I remember Warren Easton being a laughing stock of high school football. Like people picked y'all as their homecoming.
Yeah.
And Tony Hall did a great job of turning this thing around. And then Coach Jerry, he was on that staff with Tony Hall, and then he took over as head coach and kind of really took this thing to another level. And when you was here, man, y'all played in a ton of state championships. What happened throughout that time from your 9th grade year all the way to your senior year where y'all was able to, go on the road and beat some prominent programs and get to a state championship, but ultimately y'all couldn't get it done? And some people will say that it was a failure, your high school careers, and say Coach Jerry can't win the big game. But I think it was bigger than that. I think sometimes you get success off of losing those type of moments in your life. Kind of elaborate on that, your time here, and some of the naysayers that said that the guys that played in this program through them 4 years, it was a failure that y'all couldn't win a state championship.
I'll start off by saying I think in high school I would have agreed with them. I would have, definitely said, man, we didn't get the job done, yada, yada, et cetera. But what I will say, the older I get, and I'm not that old, but the older I get and I kind of reflect on those type of moments, it was a win from the type of men that were built in this program. And I'm just say this, not even just Easton, but I'll even give Coach Bryson them their props, man. There's so many different things that kids in the city could be doing. Yep. It's a lot of danger, a lot of things that, you could be getting into instead of playing football. And it's a lot of hard work that was put in here at Easton to kind of keep kids away from that. There's a lot of kids who grew up with family members and people right in their own house that's doing a lot of stuff, but their escape was this program.
For sure.
So I just commend Coach Phillips for that, man. He helped build men here. He helped, instill that discipline, help instill, some of those things for the people who may not have had those fathers, may have not had those positive influences. So it was a lot of hard days, a lot of grinding, a lot of things that we didn't necessarily want to do at that time, but it was necessary to help us build our character. So I would say overall, man, we may not have gotten the championships that we wanted at that moment, but I think we, to a certain degree, have won in the game of life.
When you think back on some of them games, I remember being at Berman. Was it a two-point conversion when that last got stopped on the goal line? Yep. I remember being in the dome where y'all in the red zone, you can't get it done, and you beating the ground, and Jamie Vance, one of your good friends, come over and console you and tell you, bro, you good, which was a classic moment by Jamie. When you think back on that, does it still light a fire inside you? Like, damn, man, we were so close.
I would say maybe freshman, sophomore year of college. I remember my first year or two, I'm watching Easton play call, and I'm at a banquet or something for Georgia, but I'm in the call watching the game, trying to figure out what's going on. Right. And so I feel early in my career, it did, but I think now, man, my emotions have changed a little bit in the sense of man, I'm just proud of the things that I was a part of. Mm-hmm. I'm proud to say that I was a part of some of those classic moments, and we were a part of a lot of good moments. We were a part of a lot of not so good moments for our school, but ultimately we helped put New Orleans on the map. We helped build a platform for these younger guys to come through and, be able to build really names for them and their family. So I'm proud of that, man. So I would say early in my career I was all into it, but I think now looking back and I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I go back and I watch some of them old videos you posted. I go back and I watch, and sometimes it's not even us. I go watch a Landry Walker game or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just to remind you man, you are a part of helping build something. Don't forget where you came from. And
a lot of kids that came out the parks was coming to them games, and that made them want to come to Easton.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, I know a few kids that came from parks. They was like, man, I'm gonna go into Easton because I want to beat Carl. Yeah. I want to be the reason why Easton finally won a state championship.
But come
coming
on,
from
y'all
watching y'all. Real talk.
You think that gave you a chip on the shoulder that you kind of rolled into college and
yes.
to motivate yourself?
Absolutely. I'll start off by saying this, man, I'm extremely grateful for what God has allowed me to be a part of and experience. So let me start off by saying nothing that I've accomplished to this point would be possible without him. Mm-hmm. And honestly, none of it means anything, without his blessing, without, giving him that glory. So I just want to, start off by saying that. But I think the failures that I experienced in high school 100% lit a fire under me in college. Because when I was here in high school, there would be a lot of times where I couldn't just sit inside and play the game or do whatever, because I feel man, I'm letting down 12, I'm letting down Lance, I'm letting down Zay, I'm letting down Caleb, whatever. So I'm doing that stuff, and then when I get to college, all right, we didn't get over the hump, but now I got to figure that out. It's actually funny, man. I think my dad kind of spoke it into existence going into my redshirt freshman year of college. My dad was like, man, I really think, this might be the year y'all can get over the hump. Y'all might be able to win a championship. And I started thinking about it. When I'm looking at practice, we might be able to. So I was like, all right, God, I want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. I didn't really play that much last year. Man, if we're going to win the national championship this year, I want to be a part of that. So I kind of started just working myself, all right, the only day I'm really taking off is Sunday, and some Sundays I'm working there, mm-hmm. right? So it was in college, I had this drive or whatever, glory be to God, that I really didn't take off more than a day, consecutively. So it's just all right, this is how we're working, this is how we're doing. I think a lot of that came from I wanted to be a part of winning something that I didn't get a chance to in high school.
For sure. Man, let's talk about your time at Georgia, bro. You was a two-time All-SEC player, you won 2 natties, and you played for one of the most prominent coaches in the country in Kirby Smart, who everybody can't play for. Just being honest, everybody can't play for Kirby Smart. And I know he's very demanding, but I know he has good intentions at the same time. Talk about your time there at Georgia, bro, and you know, being a part of 2 natties, and being all SEC, and playing in the best conference in the country, and then like looking back, like maybe what I had when I went through in high school probably was a blessing in disguise that built me up for this.
For sure. Well, I started off by saying this about Coach Smart. I remember we were in camp, and that year I was talking about, well, I'm trying to win a spot. And I remember we were in like a team run period, and I messed up a snap. And like Coach Smart is on the mic, Coach, take him out. He's terrible. Put him at guard. Get him out. Like, so he's ripping me. My coach is getting on me. So like, there's truth to what you're saying. Like, everybody can't play for Coach, man, but it was such a blessing, bro. Just to be a part of that. Like, the guys that you see that came through that are like, you know, Georgia legends or whatever, man. The Jordan Davises, the Jalen Carters, you know, the Kobe Deans, all of these guys that were so good in college that, like, you know, had these legendary runs. I have the blessing of being able to say I played with them. I got to compete with those guys every day.
Iron sharpen iron.
Yeah, for sure. So it's one of those things, man, where it's like you start to realize in the process, like much of what I was saying kind of here with Easton, as you're working, like you may not want to do it, but you start to realize over time, like, man, this is building something crazy. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times we complained in the locker room, man, I don't want to do this today.
Right.
Kobe, I ain't doing nothing today, bro. Leave me alone, don't touch me, whatever. But at the same time, you go out there and you get your work in, and you constantly put it in, and over time, it just keeps building. So, man, it was truly a blessing to be a part of that. Coach Smart was hard on us, man, but at the same time, he got us where we needed to be in order to be in those situations to win.
Talk about going to Georgia as a Louisiana kid. Like, how do you make that decision? Take me through that process.
All right, I'm going to say this.
Because I don't think you had LSU in your top.
They were like top 8, top 6.
I'm talking about top 3.
Like no, there wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't. But the reason being, and this is no shade to nobody, so go Tigers, cool, but this ain't no shade. Right. The reason why LSU wasn't in my top 3 was because they came after Georgia and Bama.
Gotcha.
I'm already in state, so pretty much the situation was Georgia had already offered me, and
you went to a camp?
To LSU, no, Georgia camp. Yeah, but I was like a freshman or sophomore. It was very early. It wasn't like later in my career. Gotcha. So I went camp to them and I got the offer. But then at this point, like I'm starting to blow up. Coach Saban came here. And that's when, like, you know, Bama offered me and stuff like that. And it kind of forced LSU's hand to have to offer me, right? And it kind of was a situation where they're like, hey, like, you know, we want you to come camp. And to me, it just kind of came off as like, y'all don't really believe that I can actually do this. On top of y'all are already after everybody else. So it's more of a situation where it's like, man, these people have been here first. Georgia was the first SEC offer I had. So it's like, how could you not go with a team that's been first, they're being consistent on top of that, and they're probably on the verge of winning the national championship. So it's like, how could you not go there? So for me, it wasn't any hate. I would have loved to have played for LSU, but for me, I went with loyalty. That team was first. So just because you're the home team doesn't mean that I have to go play for you.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you touched on that, bro. Cause so in the movie, I just dropped the movie December 1st, this past December 1st, called Blue Chippers, and we dive into the recruiting process and getting ranked and figuring out what school you want to pick. And it was a portion in the movie where I talk about how some schools will offer you just because they don't want you to go play for their rival, or they picking you just because of what you rank, but they really don't want you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so key that you say that, because a lot of kids, they'll be like, man, I'm going to LSU.
For sure.
And who knows if your career goes the same? Who knows if you're 2-time All-SEC? You probably don't win the national championship. You know, you might not get drafted. We don't know. But you based it off of, number one, loyalty. You show love to the people that believed in you from the beginning. And then you realize and process that the right way. And I'm sure your parents had a lot to do with that too. Understanding, like, y'all offer me because y'all kind of feeling like Bama and Georgia offer me, so y'all gonna look crazy to the outside world if y'all don't offer me. And then y'all gonna ask me to come camp?
Yeah.
My film speak for itself.
But and my thing was, as far as the camp, it's not that I felt that I was better than camping. I have no issue with that. But at that point, I was like a junior going into my senior year. I'm trying to focus on winning the state championship. At that point, I wasn't going to any more school camps. I think the only camps I went to was like the Under Armour Nike camp. Yeah. Other than that, though, I didn't go to any school camp. So it's like, it didn't make sense to me. It was more so like, and my dad was a big component in that. It just didn't make sense. It was like, why are we going to break our back to do this? You need to focus on your school. This is what is important right now.
For sure.
That's not really that important right now.
For sure. I love that response, bro. A lot of kids should take what you just said and use it in their process going forward.
When you're getting pulled in all kind of directions like that, talk about weighing each different opportunity. Like, all right, cool, this is what I'm about to lock in on. This is what makes the most sense for me.
Man, I'm gonna be honest. My dad helped a lot in that. I think it's very important to have someone in your corner that can talk some sense. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, especially kids, no matter how mature you are, you still need some guidance. You need some counsel. And my dad, you know, afforded me a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of liberty, excuse me. But at the same time, he was still my dad. Like, man, like, I don't think you should do that. I think this is where your head should be at, and I think you take heed to that. So, in my opinion, I think that you need to have a good team around you, and I'm not saying like, you know, just a coach or, you know, just your dad. You need to check people for how responsible or how valuable of a source they are. Mm-hmm. Don't just take people for what their relationship is to you. Yep. But what I will say is, if you have somebody that's in your corner and they're reliable, they're smart, they're calculated, take their advice.
For sure.
Whenever you look back to your time at Georgia, what's one story that sticks out that you think you would tell to, I don't know, your kids, your grandkids? Like, man, yeah, this was my time over there in Athens.
I don't know if I can even say this. I'll just say I had a certain game where I was really sick.
Mm-hmm. Flu game.
Yeah, exactly. I was really sick, and I had just came out of protocol, but like I was still like dog, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And we ended up winning that game. It was a big game, and that'll kind of be like the story I'll tell my kids in like detail, because like I don't want like the school to get, I mean, I was out of protocol, so they shouldn't get like I wasn't like
in danger.
Yeah, like I wasn't affecting anyone else, right. But I still felt terrible. So that'll kind of be the story I tell my kids. If I could say anything that I could say on here, man, I would probably say when we beat Coach Saban in the national championship. And I just want to say I have a tremendous level of respect for, you know, Coach Saban, and, you know, even those guys like, you know, Bryce Young and your boy Will Anderson. Those are like the leaders and the top dogs of their team. So I definitely have a lot of respect for them. But for me, the sweetest thing about winning that game was there was a certain point in that game in the fourth quarter where you kind of saw that they were giving up a little bit. It was like, man, we're tired. We're kind of like, you know, out of it. And it's like, this is the time like to kind of seize the moment. And everything kind of started to come together. But it was truly a beautiful moment to kind of be like, man, like I remember coming from Easton, couldn't win it, couldn't get over the hump. And then we just beat Coach Saban. In the national championship. So it was a beautiful moment, man, to be a part of that, and I was super grateful for it.
Were you on a team? Were you a freshman when Tua threw the pass to Devontae Smith?
Nah, that was a year before me. A year or two before me. Yeah, I was in high school.
Okay, I got my years mixed up.
Yeah, because I was getting trolled in class. Yeah, I was getting trolled.
Bro, I think Mel Tucker was the DC.
Yeah.
And everybody was grilling him on Twitter because he went cover 2. And it was like, what, 4th and 20?
Yeah.
Everybody like, why would you go cover 2? Yeah.
Respect, Coach Mel.
Yeah, I even asked I seen Coach Tucker one time. He was down here recruiting a kid that I was helping through his recruiting process. And I asked him, Coach, I got to ask you, what made you go cover 2 on 4th and 24? And he was like, bro, I don't even want to get into it. He couldn't even give me a response. You know what I mean?
Bad deal.
I want to ask you, though, man, I noticed that on the back of your jersey, you had Van Pran for the longest, and then you added Granger to it.
Yes, sir.
Was it a reason behind adding Granger to it, and where did that come from?
So Van Pran is my mom's last name. Granger is my dad's last name. And really, to be honest with you, it was just a matter of letting society know that my dad is in my life. I just didn't want to, and this was something that I talked about with my parents, and they kind of brought it to my attention. They didn't want for the outside world to look at me as if I was a kid that had no father.
For sure.
Or that I was kind of like perpetuating the stereotype. They kind of wanted to let people know, hey man, my father's in my life. My father's been very active in my life since a child. Although my mother and father aren't married, they both remarried, but he was always there. He was always around. Mom was always around. Never had any issues with my parents not being there for me. So it was more so just wanting to honor both of them. Hey, you know, this is a new family legacy that we're going to build, you know, in the future, God willing. But just kind of letting the world know, man, my parents were involved.
I think Clyde always loved it the same thing. Yeah. Respect, bro.
One of my favorite things about Georgia and just the Bulldogs in general, y'all got ability to stay locked in no matter the game, week 1, week 3, SEC title, yada yada. Talk about that and how Kirby Smart instills that focus. Is it the hype up speeches? Is it the work that y'all put in? Like, what makes y'all that confident?
I mean, I say this: the best teams I've been on at Georgia are self-motivated. It starts with the players. So I'll say like, God bless me to be a leader on those teams, and super grateful for that. But not to talk about me, there were guys that were there before me. So the first national championship, we had that whole senior class. They were all like one unit. Like I remember one time, like that was like my first year. It was summer workouts. I about got jumped out there by the whole senior class. Man, said you tripping, you die, whatever. And so James Cook, Jamil White, Jamari Sawyer, just all of those guys who are in the NFL now in their senior class, they were all together. So I would say it starts there. In my opinion, it starts with having strong leadership from your players. But then I would say there's every once in a while where Coach Smart does a good job of getting us back on track. Now that may come off as cursing you out, that may come however that needs to be done. But the overall message is, man, this isn't what we're used to. This is not what we're doing. So somebody needs to step up, somebody needs to do something, but this ain't gonna be what we're doing. So I would say it starts off with the players, and I think Coach Smart does an amazing job of when players are weak or they can't get it done, this is my time to step up and make sure I'm doing my job.
I noticed that you do a little painting.
Yeah.
And you did a really good job on some of the paintings that I saw. Talk about your love for being like an artist, and where did that come from, and do you have a desire to like get into that lane deeper as you get more into your career? So, all right, I'm gonna say this: the ones that's on my page, they garbage. You think they garbage?
Damn.
Well, give it to me then.
That's what I'm saying. Half of them I don't even have no more, but they were me learning to just start painting. Like my talent. I'm not gonna say talent, excuse me, but my talent, my God-given talent is I can draw what I see. So for me, it's just drawing like visually. Like if I just looked at the picture at you, I could draw it. But I had to learn how to paint. I had to learn how to do some of these different things, because what people don't realize is a lot of that stuff is just technique. Like you have God-given ability, but a lot of that stuff, like you can learn to paint.
You need reps.
Yeah, I promise you can learn to do it. But so for me, the biggest thing for me is just like making sure that I kind of kept it around. Like my mom and dad were really big on it. I got tested for visual and talented art when I was in middle school.
Okay.
And when I came to Easton, I was supposed to like basically not have that class, to have a gym class. And I remember it was a big debate between my parents and the school. Like, nah, like he need to keep this visual arts class. Like, if football don't work, this is what he's doing. And it ended up getting changed, and I had it all the way through high school. So I'm super grateful for my parents fighting for me on that.
For sure.
But it's just always kind of been a part of me. I kind of figured it out around like kindergarten, first grade. That's when I had the talent. Yeah.
So you probably could be a tattoo artist.
If I really wanted to, I think God would allow me to do it. But if I'm honest, I don't got no like ambition to do that at all.
So have you did any paintings as of late, or you kind of in?
Man, I've been working on the iPad a lot.
Okay.
On the iPad, I could show you some pictures when we get done. But like I've been working on the iPad a lot, which I ain't gonna lie, I love the iPad. You can really get in there with the detail.
For sure.
Yeah, I love the iPad. But I think right now I'm a lot better on the iPad. I do need to do like a on-hand painting, because I haven't done one probably in about 2 years. So I need to kind of go back and just kind of see where I'm at.
Whenever you do get back into it, bro, man, like I don't mind paying, but I know you say the ones on your page you think they garbage, but I think they really, really good, bro. And you could just tell like they so authentic. And I'm into stuff like that. Not that I know how to paint or draw anything like that, but I'm into like that type of tapestry, and I would love to support you and put it in my man cave or put it in my living room or in my office where I work at, you know, I would love to do that because and support you.
Man,
so just let me know.
That's kind of the curse of being an artist, though. Like, you can never look at something you've done and see all the great. You just see the blemishes. Are like, man, I could have did this. I could have fixed that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite project? And like, kind of take me through that. Why is it so close to you?
I would say the one I'm probably the most proud of. I did a portrait of my girlfriend. I don't know. It was her birthday. I gifted it to her, but it was a portrait of her. And this is when I was like still like actively in classes. So I had like one of my classmates help me out. Her name is Jupiter. She has a crazy name, Jupiter Neptune. Craziest name I've ever heard.
What?
But Jupe, if you're watching, my dog.
Shout out.
Her parents went all in.
Yeah. But Jupe is super talented. Like she's probably.
Where's she from?
I don't know what Jupe from.
Probably from like Maine or something.
Yeah, I don't know what she's from, but like
somewhere crazy.
But bro, Jupe is probably one of the most talented people I've ever seen. Like, but she kind of like helped me like, cause I was struggling to get like the skin tone right. That was like one of my first like oil like type paintings, and she kind of helped me like, hey, you know, mix this, mix that. And once I got it, I was like, oh, okay, like it's flowing. So I was just proud of that one just because of the effort and the energy that was put into it and how long it took.
Gotcha. Man, talk about draft night. Then you got drafted, man. I know you went 5th round to the Buffalo Bills, and I talk to a lot of people all the time, and I say you're only good as your situation. You know, some people are super talented, but they go to bad organizations, bro, and they kind of fizzle out. You was blessed to get drafted to a great organization that has a great coaching style, has one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not arguably the best quarterback in the league, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Right? And they've been consistent for the last 5 to 7 years. Bring it back to that day. What you was doing? Did you have a draft party? And your mindset once you heard your name, or once you got the phone call, then you heard your name get called.
So all right. So I want to preface off by saying my perspective then is totally different from my perspective now. I think if you ask me now, I am super grateful. I'm thankful that God has put me in the position that I'm in. And man, there's so many dudes, like we was talking before off camera, there's so many dudes that never get a chance, man. And it's like,
true story.
That league will eat you up and spit you out. It doesn't really like care, you know, so kudos to those who can make it. But man, I think looking on that day, so a lot of the talk at first, you know, when we first started was like, oh, you know, anywhere between 2nd and 4th round. When we started getting to the end of the back end of the process, like, you're probably looking like 3rd to 5th, depending on who you ask, right? So I had a couple teams like, well, we have a 2nd round grade on you, but we don't have a 2nd round pick, so we'll be looking to take you in around the 3rd.
Right.
Cool, that sounds great to me. So man, I remember I had a draft party, but my agent was telling me, well, look, like you don't know how this is gonna go. Cause
you signed with a CAA, huh?
Yeah. So originally the plan was to have a party at Easton in the auditorium, invite like, you know, old teachers, coaches, you know, just kind of have it be like my thank you to them for helping me get there. Well, my agent was like, well, look, if it go bad, I don't want you to be in there like, you know, looking at everybody. So it was like, this is what I would suggest. He was like, there's still a possibility you could go high, but I would suggest that you do something a little smaller just in case. So all right, so we ended up getting like an Airbnb in Slidell, you know, close, intimate, family, friends, coaches, kind of how we ended up doing it. And I remember I'm waiting all night, don't get the call, and I remember like everybody's, oh, it's all right, you know, whatever. Day 2, or day whatever day it was, day 3, excuse me. The 3rd day, I'm waiting, no calls. We get all the way to the 5th, and I remember, I won't say the team name, but I had a team call me. They're like, hey, this is such and such from such and such organization. How you doing? I'm doing good. Like, you hanging in there? Like, yeah. Hung the phone up.
So this must be like a real thing that's been going on over the last couple of years with these. Was that like a prank call, or like was it a real?
I think it was genuinely somebody from the organization, but like they were like, oh, you hanging in there? Like, okay, cool. Like, we'll talk to you later.
Gotcha.
So I'm like what's that about? You know, so long story short, man, I had one conversation with Buffalo the entire draft process. The only reason I even had a conversation with them was because one of my teammates, he was picked in the 1st round, but he was doing a lot of like, they call them like 30 visits.
Yep.
So he was like super tired, and I knew he was gonna be in there with a bunch of teams. So I'm like, man, I'm not gonna let them just gassed the man. So I'm like, all right, look, well, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna take some reps off you, you know, so you can kind of catch up and whatever. Because I just didn't want him to go out there and look bad. Now they're trying to drop the man stock for no reason. So long story short, I ended up going to that Buffalo coach, ended up liking me, and he was like, man, you made yourself a lot of money today. We'll be talking to you.
So you went on the Camp 30 visit with him?
No, so it was so he was injured in his process. So he had his own like pro day. He had his own pro day.
I got you.
And I went and worked out with him just to give him some rest, because I wasn't supposed to be there, but I just went just to like alleviate him a little bit. Well, that's my dog. So it's like, I know you ain't been working out because you've been at these places. You been, brother. They be trying to kill you.
I know.
Workout.
I know. Then you going from different time zones. It's a lot.
They got you doing all these reps. I knew he wouldn't have made it if he was by himself. So I'm like, look, like, I don't really want to, but I'll come and just to take that off you, right? So end up working out. Buffalo calls me on the third day, and it's so crazy because, man, I was so ungrateful in that moment, because all I could think about was, man, they told me I was going second. I got drafted in the 5th. Man, and this is what I'm gonna tell you, God humbled me. God had to really like talk to me and like really sit me down, like, man, you tripping. Like, I was like, in my mind at that time, I'm thinking, bro, you all SEC, you all American, you team captain, you got all this film, you gave up no sacks in college. Like, how could this happen, right? This is all the stuff I'm telling myself. And when I got there, it's funny, Joe Brady, I think it was Joe Brady who was on the phone. When I got drafted, he was like, man, it's okay to be happy. Like, it's okay to be happy about it. But I was so mad because it's like, brother, I just lost so much money in that process. But then throughout the course of the year, man, like I said, God humbled me, and we had a lot of long talks. But I'm very, very fortunate and grateful to be a part of the Bills organization, because it really is a genuinely great organization.
Yeah. And again, like we talked about when I asked you the question, it could be worse.
100%.
Like, you could have went to one of the worst teams in the league with poor, a poor front office and bad coaching staff, coaching staff that's on the hot seat, they might not be there. It's so many different variables that go into it, which leads to you having success on that level, bro. So I think that everything happened for a reason, as cliche as that might sound, but I think you're in a great spot, bro.
They got a lot of pieces in Buffalo too. Like, how did you find your role, your identity alongside those pieces? Like, not wanting to, mess anything up, but still trying to navigate your way.
Bro, it was tough. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, and like, just a part of that, like I was saying, God humbling me, that process, man. It's some games you dressed out, but you handing out water, you handing out sunflower seeds and gum, and you holding people's shoes for them and all type of stuff. But it's crazy because the same dudes you're doing that for, they're telling you, man, I know this sucks right now, but I promise you're gonna be good one day. Just learn. Just take this time, learn, be patient. I remember my dog, Dawson Knox. Tight end. I forget who was playing, but he was kind of like, man, like, how you doing, man? Like, you kind of seem a little down. I was like, man, I'm gonna be honest, like, it's just tough for me because I just came from the past 3 years playing every game, and now, I'm only going out there on special teams. Like, so it's tough for me. But he was telling me, he's like, man, I won't say the names he said, but he was like, man, some of these dudes, they didn't play their first 3 or 4 years, and now they're the face of the NFL. They're all pro. They're
True story.
Pro bowlers. And he was like, man, you have a great opportunity to be a part of a winning organization and just learn. He was like, a lot of people aren't afforded that opportunity, and they fizzle out. They're going out the league in 2-3 years because they were put in a situation they weren't ready for. So as much as it was, man, this is tough, having to serve and do different things. And I could be honest and say I had a bad attitude when I first got there. Mm-hmm. It took a lot of humbling from God to kind of get me to a place where I was like, man, this is a blessing. But going from that place, I think that it was a lot of guys that God put around me that was like, man, you're going to be okay. Like, I promise you one day it's going to all make sense. You're going to be good.
How did you keep pushing through that process? Like, it's not your time yet. And then the second question, when did you feel like you were like, all right, I fit in here. Like, I'm ready for this transition?
So I answer the second question first. I don't think I really like set in and like felt extremely comfortable until like late October, early November, somewhere in there, because I was still kind of fighting myself. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, man, like, what is my identity here? Like, I'm playing 10 plays a game now. Like, what is my identity? So I think it was kind of wrestling with that. And what was the first part of the question?
Just, going through that process when it's not your time yet, just trying to stay motivated, like still doing the workouts, still doing the practices, the film, all that stuff that comes with it?
I mean, what else are you gonna do? You gonna give up? Like, I mean, the only thing you can do is like it comes a point where it's like, all right, so I felt like in my mind, like I was going through the motions, but in my mind, I'm like, man, like I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling sorry for myself, and it comes to a certain point where you have to make a decision. Like, all right, you don't have the opportunity yet. Will you be ready when you get the opportunity? So it's like you have all of this time to prepare for when that moment comes, but what are you doing with this moment? And I had to kind of like talk to myself like, man, like these walkthrough reps that you're getting, these reps that you're getting against Ed Oliver, you need to be taking advantage of them. And that was something that I'm so grateful that God allowed me to realize, is that like it got to a certain point where like Ed was coming to me like, man, I respect you, bro. Like I know like when I come to practice, I got to practice against you. I can't just take no rep off. So
and
it's
that
just
motivation.
Like, yeah. So it's just like it's stuff like that. It's like, you know, you start to talk to the older guys and the guys who stars in the league, and they start to tell you like, man, like, bro, I respect your game. You may not be where you want to be yet, but I really do believe in you as a player, and I think that means a lot.
What advice would you give to a young player, just like a rookie in your situation, to kind of help them see that light? Because that's like an inspirational look at it. Not a lot of people are gonna have that look, and it speaks volumes to you as a leader. But just how would you kind of pour into somebody else with that?
I'll keep this short and simple, man. Everybody's path is different. Everybody's path is different. There are some guys who didn't play at all in college or were very just average, and they are amazing players in the NFL. There are some guys who are amazing players in college and they don't really pan out in the NFL. Everybody's path is different, and I would just say, man, don't compare yourself. Like, you know, the Bible says the comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
Hold fast to that, bro, because I promise you, the minute you start looking at what G got, what Jacob got, I promise you, bro, you're going to be like, man, I don't got that. Whole time you sitting on $10 million, but you worry about the 100 that he got. So it's like, man, it's cherish what you got, man. Take it day by day. Be patient and just run your own race.
For sure. And I kind of want to go into the mental health side of it, Sid, because that's been a big thing as of late. And I know, you know, it sounds like I'm probably beating a dead horse because so many people are talking about it, but we're in a social media area where, you know, you're probably looking at your college teammates who probably playing.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at guys you played against in college that's playing.
Yeah.
And you like, I'm not playing. Talk about how strong-minded, how big your faith has to be in God, man, to keep your mental in the right spot where you don't go into them dark places.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, man. Like, I'll just go ahead and say this, man. I am grateful that Jesus Christ came to get me, bro, because be honest with you, without him, I don't think I would be in that space. So what I would say, man, if you don't have a faith, I would suggest you to get one. But to answer your question from a more practical side, I just feel like you said, man, you definitely have those moments where you see those guys and you're like, dang, like I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
but
for
it's
sure.
like, dang, like I wish I was there too. Like, you know, so like in all honesty, man, you just gotta realize like everybody's in different situations.
Yep.
Like you gotta realize like if a guy was drafted in the first 3 rounds, he's going to play whether he is good or not.
Yeah.
And not saying that people are not good in NFL, because everybody's good, you're there. But what I will say is that some guys are already ready for that moment, and some guys aren't. Some guys aren't afforded the opportunity to develop because of where they were drafted at.
Yep.
So it's like you got to realize, like, yeah, he's playing, but he's playing because of where he was drafted. That's where they value him. But your value to your team may be totally different from his value to this team. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Everybody, it's like somebody might draft you in the 6th round and they may have a plan for you to play in 3 years instead of 1.
Yep.
So it's their idea is, man, we want you to come and develop, sit behind this guy, and then you'll be our guy. Some people are drafted early because of, man, we want you to be our guy right now. So it's just understanding, man, everybody's situation is different, and it's hard to compare apples to oranges.
And then sometimes people don't understand injuries play a big factor into this
100%.
too. You know, I'll use it far as like college. Last year, nobody thought Caden Durham was going to play at all for LSU as running back. What happened? John Emery tells the ACL first game of the year. Caleb Jackson has his ups and downs throughout the beginning of the season. They didn't really. Trey Holly had the situation with the legal case he had back at home. So now Caden Durham is inserted to the starting lineup, and now he's playing. And so people start looking at it like, man, he playing, I should be playing.
Yeah.
Bro, you don't even understand the dynamics that went on and on why he's playing as a true freshman. And so that's a good point you make. Everybody's in different situations, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even like to add on to that, like me playing my redshirt freshman year, I don't play if a guy doesn't get hurt in camp. All of those accolades and stuff that I wanted to beat my chest on, they never happen if that guy doesn't get hurt in camp.
You made the most of the opportunity.
Stayed ready. Do you think that you're gonna move into like art, design, something after you retire? You ever try graphic design?
Yeah, so I am. Man, this sucks.
If you are into that, man, I need you to make some logos for me, man.
Say, I'm one semester away from graduating at Georgia, man. So God willing, hopefully I can go back next spring and get that done, man. I told my mom I would get it for her, so
for sure.
I got to get that done. But yeah, I'm definitely into like graphic design and stuff like that. That's why I've been playing with the iPad, just trying to like figure out different programs and stuff like that.
Man, you had a quote. And if you see me use it on one of my posts, man, don't say, "Damn, G stole that from me." But it was so fitting for my journey and my path. You put on one of your posts, you put, "You are looking for sunshine, but it has to rain first. Perspective is everything." What does that mean to you? That's a hell of a saying right there, bro.
Yeah, man. So I think there's been a lot of times in my life, man, where I think you want to play pity party a little bit with yourself. Like, man, this sucks. This is, whatever. And you're not realizing, bro, the same hardships that you're going through right now are about to propel you into something that is so much greater than what you can see. There's a reason why people say, like, I don't know if you ever heard people say, be like, well, God told you to plan for your life. You would tell them no, right? So it's like that same idea, the same principle of like, man, you don't realize the things that you're going through now that suck, that absolutely, just seem horrific, are going to bring you into a place later that where you're going to appreciate it. So for me, it's just, I kind of have to remind myself oftentimes of like, man, yeah, this isn't ideal. You want to like play pity party, oh, poor me, whatever, but you don't realize that this is setting you up for something else later. You don't know what yet.
Yep.
You don't know what yet, but you have to have faith that is going to bring you into a place later where it's going to make sense. And kind of how I look at it, man, I don't know what's the story God's going to write for me in the NFL. I truly don't. But what I do believe is that he does allow me to be blessed enough to have the things that I want to have. I'm going to appreciate this first year so much more.
For sure. Yeah, when I saw that on your post, I was like, oh yeah, I'm still in this.
Go ahead, brother. You got it. You got it, brother. You got it.
Do you think that you've been an artist and like that viewpoint, that lens that you look at that through, did that help you in the football side? Like being able to look at some things, cherish some things, maybe just take a load off, whatever the case may be?
I'll say it helps with like your creativity in football. I'll say that. Like we do this thing before games. We call it like it's like visualizing sessions where like you kind of like play the game in your mind without playing it. But like some of the stuff I'll be doing like before the game is like crazy. Like I'd be imagining myself like driving dudes like 35 yards, like pancake stuff, just crazy stuff that probably won't happen. But like it just kind of helps with that creativity to what then when you kind of see it like on the field is like, that wasn't exactly like that, but it was still pretty cool.
Right.
So I think just for me, it just kind of helps the creativity, the fun side of like, man, like the crazy part about the NFL is it's a job, but you can't treat it like a job. Like the minute you start treating it like that, it's kind of when you start to get tense and start making mistakes. Like it's a lot of pressure, but you can't allow it to get to you.
That visualization, did you do that before the NFL?
No.
Like that? They got you onto that?
Yeah, they got me onto that. Shout out to Dr. Dez. Dr. Dez has done an amazing job.
Team psychologist?
Yeah, she's done an amazing job with our team, man. She does a lot for us, and she helps us get ready on the mental side.
Bro, a lot of people do that. Dr. Bob Rotella, he worked with LeBron James. Got him to do that, a bunch of golfers to do that. You're not the first person I heard to say that.
Yeah, bro, it helps. It really helps.
I think that a lot more universities that have athletic programs should have a team psychologist to do them different things with them. Corey Webster and Skylar Green, who played at LSU, talked about Saban had a guy named the Wizard, and he would do those type of things with them and have them meet with them maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah. And
he said they told me that he would take their mind into places they would never imagine, and it really helped them throughout their career at LSU. And I think especially with everything that's going on with NIL and the transfer portal and social media and how cruel it could be. I think every women's basketball, softball, baseball, I don't care what sport it is, they should have a team psychologist that's meeting with the players at least once or twice a week, bro. Because I know I can speak on as far as what happened with Kyron Lacey recently. Yeah. Somebody I was very close to. Not to say that nobody in that building was trying to help him and pour into him. I just think having a professional team psychologist
would have made it better.
Would have made things a little more, put more things in perspective for him to see things clear as he was going through everything that he was going through, bro. So it's crazy you say that, but I do want to ask you, how much of a difference is it? Because I had these conversations all the time with guys that go to the league. How much of a difference is it far as schematic wise, the terminology, the playbook from college to the league?
So I'll say, like, as far as like schematics, football is football. I mean, there may be like different words for like the same schemes or like coverages or whatever. But like the thing I will say is like the level of understanding is so much different in NFL. Like everybody like understands like the origin. Like, so you're running like this play. Well, this play comes from this play in 1990 with Bill Callahan. Like, it's like, right. Man, like, how, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't got nothing to do with what we're doing. But like when you start to understand those things, and you start to understand, okay, well, in this situation, they want to do this, and these are their tendencies. The level of understanding and how smart people really are is totally different in my opinion. I think just how deep people understand football. Like, you might be on football 102 in college. Well, NFL football is like 104, 105, like, you know, and obviously it varies between person to person, but I would say the biggest thing for me is, one, how smart people are in the NFL. Like, I hate to say it, but everybody's a guru in the NFL. Everybody has like some like radical like idea about football that like changes the game. Like, it's crazy. But then two, I would say is just like, you know how like in college and like high school, everything's like rah rah. It's not like that in the NFL. Everybody's chill. Everybody's like, man, let me get my work in. Let me do what I got to do and be at peace with it.
Everybody even killed.
Yeah, and it was such a culture shock for me because I was expecting everybody to be like, ah, you know, like hoorah, and everybody's like, no, I'm a professional. This is what I do. I know that I'm going to practice these things today. I'm going to get better at this intentionality, and I'm done. I'm not about to sit here and kill myself for 18 hours and I know I got to get better at this today. This is the amount of time I have. I'm going to maximize these reps.
Talk about the leadership that you see from, because I know you big on leadership.
Yeah.
Did you win an award in high school?
Bruh.
For leadership or something?
Yeah, I think it was with Turk. With Turk and them,
Yeah. Shout out to Turk, man, my dog. Talk about the leadership you see from Josh Allen, man, and what makes him arguably the best quarterback in the game.
MVP.
I think what helps Josh in his leadership is how personable he is. Like, I'll say this. I was drafted in the 5th round. Josh was the first person to speak to me.
Come on.
At the organization. I remember I got there, I don't remember, maybe like second day or something like that, and I went in like the sauna, and like, you know, he's sitting there talking to somebody, and he's like, hey man, you're, you know, Sedrick, right? I'm like, yeah, yes sir. You know, no, I'm not sir, I'm just Josh, man. You know, pleasure to meet you. Like, you know who I am, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but he was the first guy to be like, man, welcome to the organization, welcome to Buffalo. Like, this is what it is. So I think when you have somebody who is so personable, and then his personality is like so goofy, like he is like the most unserious person you can think of, like, that's, in my opinion, what helps, because even when he does get serious, now you know, oh no, this is serious. Yeah. Like, this is something we need to lock in on. But then also, like, he's a freak of nature on the field. So when you kind of add all of those things, you know, somebody who's personable, somebody who has a great personality, somebody that'll give you the shirt off their back, but then at the same time can go out there and ball on the field, I think you have no choice but to rally behind a guy like that, because it's like, what reason do I have not to listen to this dude? He's not going to tell me something that he wouldn't do. He's not going to, you know, be on my back, rah, rah, rah. But when he does say something, I do need to respect it, because he's probably saying it for a reason.
For sure.
What's the difference building chemistry in the NFL through things like that comparatively to college, where, you know, it might be more structured, like they might do more team events or things like that?
Well, like college, you're like dorm, you know, you're around people, you know, like all day. Like if y'all going out as a team, you know, because y'all ain't got nothing to do. You know, y'all in some small hick town where there's nothing going on, you know, so y'all are all together, as opposed to the NFL is like, man, people are married, they got kids, like, you
they
know,
trying to get home.
Yeah, if you got a 3-day weekend, they're leaving, like they're not staying in, like, you know, where they're at, and like that's like league wide, so it's like it's a little bit different in the sense of like people have more options. Like I don't have to sit here in Buffalo if I don't want to. I can go, because we're an hour away from Canada, I go drive to Canada if I want to. I don't have to sit here. So it's like, I think you have to be more intentional, but I think one of the things that really helps us is that we are a lot closer to a college town, because there's not a whole lot to do in Buffalo as far as like, you know, like if it compares to Miami, in comparison to Miami,
right.
It's not even close. So a lot of times, you know, guys will get together, man, let's go have dinner, man, y'all come to my house, come watch this game, y'all, you know, do whatever, you know, to where we're all together. So I think that helps. But I would say the biggest thing I've seen as a difference is that it's not as forced anymore. Like you have to make a decision, and I think one of the things that helps us is that we're making a decision.
For sure. How have you dealt with the cold? Being from the South, you played in Louisiana, then you played at Georgia, and you get drafted by Buffalo, bro. Some of them games y'all played this year, I was like, God,
man.
Damn. I know some people put the Vaseline on and all that.
I mean, it's different stuff you could do. Like it helped, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. If you playing, it ain't that bad. Like you know, you kind of get warm. You got your jacket on the side. Like, if you're not playing, man,
that's
look,
what it's torture.
Yeah, man, look, you better go stand by that heater. I don't know what to tell you. But I mean, you get used to it. It's kind of like anything. If you're somewhere for, you know, a certain amount of months, you get used to it. You know what to expect. So it's like, yeah, it's cold, but it's like, I kind of expect this. You know what I'm saying? I already know what I'm getting myself signed up for. It's not like oh man, it was 80 degrees yesterday and now it's 10.
Yeah.
No, you knew it was 15 degrees yesterday. It's going to be 12 today. So you kind of already know what to expect and what to look for. So you kind of get used to it. Your body adapts a little bit. I'm not saying that, like, you know, you never have a day where it's not cold.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, it's cold, but all right, let me just put on an extra pair of socks or something. You know, like I'll be all right.
Yeah. On the flip side of today, when you go through training camp, you ain't got to worry about being in that hot sun though.
You would think that. Last year it got kind of hot. So we go to camp in Rochester at St. John Fisher, and I mean it wasn't like New Orleans hot,
right?
But you know it was Buffalo hot. You know, you used to, you know, 60 degrees and like 85. I was like, man, like it's a little different. So
gotcha.
Talk about the game day environment and the change, or is there one? You know, they hear Bills Mafia, but going from the SEC, traveling all these different big stadiums, whether it be Tiger Stadium, Tennessee, you know, the vibe, like how does that change?
I say I was extremely surprised by Bills Mafia. Shout out to Bills Mafia, man. Y'all do an amazing job. Like, we played in the preseason game. Preseason game was packed. Like, everybody's in the stadium having a good time, eating, drinking, like just kind of doing their thing. Now I will say, like, I've been to some stadiums where it's not the same vibe. Like, people are there, but they're not there. Right? Like they're in the stadium, but they're not
spectating.
Yeah,
it's not like the Dome.
Yeah, it's more like, you know, like some whatever. But all of that to say, like, I think that our fans do an amazing job. Like, it's not really that big of a difference, in my opinion, from Bills Mafia to Dog Nation. Like, it's not like, I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest, I think Bills Mafia might be a little bit crazier. You know, they jumping through tables and doing all type of stuff before the game. So they really make you feel like home, man. It really feels like a home field advantage. Like, it really feels like, man, like we really playing like big crowd, you know, game. So yeah, I know I'm rambling, but I think that's probably the biggest difference.
I think you have been extremely blessed, bro. You've been a winner everywhere you've been. East, and you won. I mean, you might not win a state championship, but you was a winner. College, you won. Now you with the Bills. Y'all made it to the AFC Championship. A couple plays going here and there, you're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So do you ever sit back and think back and be like, bro, like I've really been a winner and I've been a part of some really good organizations throughout my whole football career? Man,
I definitely, you know, thank God that he's allowed me to be a part of that, because I'll tell you this, like, the vets around there, they won't let you take it for granted.
Right.
They'll tell you straight up, man, look, I played for such and such team and we was garbage. Like, you need to be thankful that you was drafted to an organization that's winning. Like, and it was so many guys, like, because I was telling you, like, I was so hard on myself, like, man, I'm not playing, I'm just playing on special teams. Like,
it'd be worse if you was losing.
Yeah, it'd be worse. And they're telling me, like, bro, you don't realize how blessed you are to come in, and it's a possibility, like, you might go deep into the playoffs this year as a rookie. like everybody don't get to say that. Like you
playoff chick.
Yeah, exactly. it's like you get to be a part of that, man. So it's like a lot of those guys that tell you if you fail in a way and you like, man, look, I done been somewhere where it ain't nothing like this. So it's hard to forget it because they remind you so much. But it truly is a blessing, man. I'm so thankful that the Bills took a chance on me.
I think we gonna end the podcast with the trenches. How I named it?
Inside the Trenches.
Inside the Trenches was big said, man. By doing your favorites.
Rapid fire.
Here we
All
go.
right, bet.
Here we go. Favorite football player all time.
Cam Newton.
You did say that. Favorite sneaker all time.
Probably Jordan 4s.
I like the Fools. Favorite rapper to listen to when you're getting ready for a game.
Brother, I don't listen to rap no more. I listen to like straight gospel now.
All right.
Favorite gospel singer or gospel artist.
I listen to like gospel rap, new stuff, but I have been listening to a lot of Kiki lately.
Wines?
Kiki, how you say her last name? Sheer, something
Okay,
like that.
yeah, I know you're talking about. Okay, gotcha. Favorite movie all time.
What's the name of it? Rico and them, man. Money
Paid
Making Paid in Full. That's my favorite movie all time.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was trying to blank
Yes,
now.
that's definitely one of my favorite movies.
Favorite all time.
All right. Favorite place to visit.
Here.
Louisiana?
Home, yeah. I don't get to come home. I come home probably 10 days a year now.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite coach of all time that made the most impact on you.
Oh.
No matter what level. It could be park ball, middle school, it could be high school, college, league right now. It don't matter. It could be a trainer.
Yeah, I'm be honest, bro. That's kind of tough for me. I would say probably Coach Luke, man. Mm-hmm. Man, Coach Luke really helped me to grow. I would say either Coach Luke or Coach Phil. They both of them really helped push me and make me the man I am today as far as a football player.
Gotcha. Last question for you. No. I got two for you. Favorite comedian all time.
Maybe Dave Chappelle.
That's mine.
Yeah, probably.
Damn,
Dave
we got
Chappelle.
two. Damn. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got 1A, 1B. Dave Chappelle and Chris Tucker.
Fair
No
enough.
Bernie Mac.
I was gonna say,
I like
yeah.
Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac could go, but if you're talking about my favorite, Dave Chappelle and Chris Tucker.
Dave Chappelle so funny.
And if Chris Tucker wouldn't have became Muslim, he'd probably be way at top of the comedian game right now, for sure. Last question for you. If Sedrick Van Pran-Granger, gotta add that Granger
Appreciate
on
that,
there.
brother.
You know that. What would you be doing with your life if you wasn't playing football?
Man, that's a great question. That's one of the questions God hit me with last year to kind of help humble me a little bit. If I'm being honest, man, I would be in his hands. It probably would be something creative if I had to imagine. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's art. I don't know if that's a clothing line. I don't know if that is, being a street painter. Who knows? But what I can say, man, is that I put my faith in the Lord and I trust him where he's going to lead me.
For sure. Man, this has been a really good, insightful podcast, bro. I'm glad you was able to take the time out, your busy schedule, and fellowship with us. I don't take it for granted, dog. I know how busy your time is, and I understand everything that y'all go through, especially in the off season with your time and spending time with loved ones and things of that nature. So I'm rooting for you, bro. Just watching the man that you have become since your 9th grade year when I first laid eyes on you at Easton. Like, man, who is this? Who is 62? And to see your maturation process, man, and how you carry yourself and how you conduct yourself, bro. Your parents did a hell of a job, bro. And I'm rooting for you, bro. And I know your time coming.
Man, I appreciate you, brother. Pleasure, man. Love, brother. Appreciate you.
I got some shorts for you too, man. I don't know if you can fit them, but I got some shorts for you.
It's good.
That was some good shit, dog. I appreciate it. Really good job.
Appreciate y'all having me.